Hello, welcome to video number 3 of the series of bearings. And in this video, we want to look at how to read bearings. And by the end of the video, you will be able to read bearing of one point from another point. Then 2, you'll be able to identify and use back bearing formula. Now, we'll start with a question. And the question is, what is the bearing of B from A? What it means here is that there is this lady here who is in a particular town called town A, and she's traveling to meet a friend in town B. Now the friend called the lady and wanted to give the lady a direction to where he is. And so we assume that the lady in town A is traveling to town B to meet the friend, right? And so in the course of giving the direction, the friend in town B says, oh, locate your North Pole, okay, and I'll give a direction from that point. It means that on the North Pole of the lady is going to travel from the town A to town B, and the line we join here is maybe the road that leads to the two towns. And so how do we read the bearing of the town B, but now taking it from town A? That is what we want to do. So at town A, we locate our North Pole and move clockwise until we get to the road that links the two towns and measure that angle. Okay, so in the course of calculations, we are going to calculate this angle, but for now, I want to measure the angle to know the bearing of B from A. So with our compass, we can measure the North Pole to the line that links the two towns, and here the angle is 70. And so the bearing of B from A is 70 degrees. The bearing of B from A is 70 degrees. Now let's look at the other way around. This time around, let's say we want to find the bearing of A rather from B, meaning that the lady is at B and the guy is at A. So we want to read the bearing of A but from B. So we want to now say that the lady is giving a direction to the guy to visit her. So what direction will she give? Now here, when we link up the two, we want to have our North and South Pole, and we want to read the angle right from the North Pole to the town that links the B to A. Remember, we are saying we are reading the bearing of A, but rather from B. So we are reading it from the B, and it's going to be the North Pole up to the line that links the two towns. So I know from here up to this point as 180. But I don't know the small angle here, so I can measure this small angle and add it up to the 180. Now with my protractor, when I measure from the zero line here to this direction, and I think that is 70 degrees. So the bearing of A from B is going to be the 70 plus the 180 existence to give us 250 degrees. I hope it makes sense. More examples will help you understand better. Now here, once again, we have two towns, town P and town Q, or 2 points P and Q. We want to read the bearing of Q. Sorry for that. We want to read the bearing of Q from P. And so we are picking bearing of Q, but from, very important to look at the word from P. So it means the reading must be done at P. So we locate our line between the two towns and locate our cardinal point for the point P, right? And so the bearing of Q, reading from P, that means from Q to where Q is, from P to where Q is, right? From the north pole of P, we read up to that line that links the two towns, and we know here is 90, but the small angle here we don't know. So we want to use a protractor to measure that angle so we can know the bearing of Q from P. So when we read from the 0 here, we go that direction, and if here is 10, here is 20, so we have 20 degrees, which will add up to the existing 90. And so the bearing of Q from P will be 90 plus 20, and the result will be 110 degrees. And mostly here we are dealing with true bearing. You're looking at true bearing. Okay, true bearing. So that is how we find the bearing of Q from P. In major questions, for example, in examination, normally we don't use protractor to measure them. We calculate the angle. So there will be enough information for you to calculate this small angle here. But for now, since we don't have that calculations, we want to know how to read the bearing. Now, more example will help. We want to find the bearing of P from Q. P from Q. So we want to start from Q. So we locate our line and the north and south pole P at Q. And we want to look at the bearing of P from Q. So from the north pole of Q up to the line will be our bearing. So for now, we know that this to this is 90, 180, 270. We are left with this small angle here to add up to give us the total bearing. And we want to measure that small angle with protractor once again. And the protractor reads from the 0 here up to this is 35 degrees. And so we will say the bearing of Q from P will be 270 plus 35 degrees to give us 305 degrees. Now let's look at back bearing. What do we mean by saying back bearing? You see, if I give you this question, I say what is the bearing of P from Q, we can work it out and get the answer to be 305. But what of looking at the other way around, like the bearing of Q rather from P? That means if I'm here and I want to read the bearing of Q from P, then that's going to give me this value. Whatever angle that is here plus this will give me the back bearing, the other way around. Okay, so we want to establish a formula that can easily be used in doing this without drawing the diagram once again to get your back bearing. And so the formula says that in general, if the bearing of A from B is theta degrees, they will give you that angle, theta degrees. Then the bearing of B from A, which is the opposite, is this. The first formula says that if the theta given you for the first bearing is less than 180 degrees, like 60, 90, 120, something less than 180, just add 180 to the given theta, and that will give you the answer of the back bearing. Then again, if the theta given is greater than 180, 270, 190, 220, 225, and so on and so forth, just keep that angle and subtract 180 from it, and that will give you the back bearing. As simple as that. We'll take some few examples to see how this works. Now before we take the example, let's also look at it in terms of compass bearing, because some of the questions might have compass bearing. We want to look at the reverse of it. Now for compass bearing, if the bearing of A from B is given as theta, then the bearing of B from A, which is the other way around, also will give us the same value of theta, just that we change the direction of the cardinal point. If it is northeast, it's going to be southwest. I mean, just reverse the direction, right? For example, if the bearing of A from B is south 30 degrees east, Okay, then the reverse bearing is going to still be the 30 degrees, but then this will take the opposite, and opposite of south is north, opposite of east is west. So then that becomes the answer of the back bearing. As simple as that. Let's take the examples now. Question number 1. The bearing of Q from another point P is 240. Find the bearing of P from Q. So it means that is the opposite, right? And this value is more than 180. And so we'll keep the 240 and subtract 180 from that. And when that is done, we get 60 degrees. That will be the back bearing of the 240. Question number 2. If the bearing of Aguna Swedro to Nyakrum is 72 degrees, what is the bearing of Nyakrum from Aguna Swedro? Once again, the angle given here is less than 180. And so since it's less than 180, we'll keep the 270 and add, sorry, the 72, sorry, and add the 180 to it, or add 180 to that. And when that is added, we get 252 degrees. You can pause the video and try this one. If the bearing of A to B is north 25 east, what is the bearing of B from A? And this is also opposite. So, and here what we said earlier on is that always the middle angle we maintain, then we change the position of north and east in their opposite direction. And so north will turn into south and east will turn into west. And so the answer will be south 25 west. Now try your hand on this. Well, I believe you had north 54 east. Very simple as that. The bearing of E from F is 20 and that of J from E is 140. If J is directly east of F, we want to find the angle FGE. I know this question looks a bit different from what you've done so far, but then you can pause the video with your little understanding. Try solving this question on your own and let's see. Even though we'll be doing more of this in our next video. This was the answer you had, 50 degrees. Now let's go through the solution and see whether you've done the right thing. Now the bearing of E from F is 20 and that of J from E is 140. And so I'll start by locating my point of F. Remember we are talking about the bearing of E from F. So F must start first. Then I have my Cartesian plane. I'm going to read 20 degrees from the F to where I'm going to, that is the E. So 20 degrees, then I reach E. Then at E, I'm going to travel to J, and the question, the bearing of J from E is 140. So I'll take my 140 degrees, then I'll move to the point J. Now remember that if here is 90 degrees, then the remaining angle here is going to be 50. So 50 plus 90 will give us the 140. Let's keep note on that. Now here I have my north, south, east, and west at the point of J. And the question further says that J is directly east of F. So directly east of F, we have our J. Therefore, we should find the angle FGE. And FGE will be this angle. Now, take note that if here is 20 degrees, then the angle here can be calculated for. And if here also is 50 degrees, then we can find the remaining angle here, which of course that will give us 40. then the angle at this side will give us 20. We can even think of alternate angle. Remember Z angle? So this is like a Z angle. You get that? So that will be alternate angle because these two lines are parallel. Now that we know that, we can also say this angle is 70 because 20 is here. Now if I have 70 plus 60 plus the angle which I don't know, together should give us 180 because EFG forms a triangle. And interior angles of a triangle must sum up to 180. And so if you do that calculation, you end up getting the angle to be 50 degrees. So that is the solution. We'll do more of this in our next video. More of this type of questions in our next video. So with this, we come to the end of video number 3 of bearing series. Thanks for watching.